It was time for WWE to shake things up, as it were, as WGS-TV reviews Monday Night Raw for the week of April 16th, 2018. Hey YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it's definitely time to warp.
Times NWA World Heavyweight Champion Scrap Barnett appears, and you're watching WGS-TV.
What's up, guys? I'm the Russell Gamer, and welcome back to another episode of WGS-TV right here on youtube.com/RussellGamer. And joining me on the review this week, ladies and gentlemen, is the Studley Man, Ashley, or as he was preferred to be known on the live reaction stream last night, Nostradamus!
Yeah, I'm up there with Matt Hardy. Also, I got a script.
You want to explain to everybody in the video what happened?
So, where I watch, because I can't watch live because I don't have Sky, a thing popped up in the chat, which was a Patreon post that said, but basically the web URL was 4/16/18 WWE Raw. So I was like, let's see what it is, because it's weird. What is this Patreon thing about? Turns out, Fightful, one of the websites that produces news and reviews and all that sorts of stuff, they have a Patreon. And on this Patreon, for free, unlike the rest of the stuff, which is like behind, $5, $10 paywalls because of how much you basically offer off, in terms of, a paid sort of exclusive service for exclusive content. They put up Monday Night Raw's script from last night. So basically, this happened sort of midway through as we got to the first match that it showed up. This was actually posted up on Patreon 18 minutes into the broadcast, so the timing fits. So I pretty much got it as it came, as it seems. So therefore, that's why I can go, I'm Nostradamus, such and such is coming out, such and such is coming out. They did switch a few things, probably because they heard that the script got leaked, at least by the time we got to the end.
Yep, definitely.
They switched a few things here and there, but nothing dramatically. The bare bones of what's here is what happened.
Yep. It was time for WWE to stir the pot and shake things up with the annual Superstar Shakeup by moving certain stars between shows. So last night we would find out which SmackDown stars became Raw stars, as tonight on SmackDown Live we will find out which Raw stars will become SmackDown stars. And don't forget, you could watch and have WGS-TV on as your second screen experience during SmackDown Live for our reactions. So anyway, let's get on to the review and talk about Raw. Angle welcomed the crowd to the Superstar Shakeup, and before Angle could even complete his thought about it, we would get our first surprise of the night in the form of the United States Champion Jinder Mahal, who came out boastfully saying that he proved he was better than anyone on SmackDown Live and that he was better than anyone on Raw. So Angle would make him prove it by forcing Mahal to defend the United States Championship in the opening match against Jeff Hardy. Now, for the most part, it was a back-and-forth match, but if you were scoring the match on points, Mahal would have an edge over the charismatic Enigma, but Hardy would attempt to catch Mahal off guard a few times, and one spot I did like in particular was Hardy countering the Gutbuster into an attempted pin. The finish of the match came down to Hardy first hitting the Twist of Fate and then the Swanton Bomb on Mahal to pick up the win and become the new United States Champion. Personal opinion, Ashley, I would not be surprised to see Hardy go into SmackDown Live with the United States Championship, and I think it would be a good move by WWE for Hardy and a unique way to possibly keep the United States Championship on SmackDown Live.
To be honest, it leaves it open for either two things, which obviously by the time this goes up, you've probably already seen it because of SmackDown and everything. Either Seth's going to SmackDown or Jeff's going to SmackDown, because obviously there needs to be a secondary title on one of the brands.
Either that, or they really shake things up and they put the NXT North American champion on SmackDown Live.
No, Christ, no. As long as there's NXT champions, they won't come up because there's no continuity there. But yeah, I don't know what direction they'll take, because obviously we're recording this before a few hours before SmackDown hits the air.
And more than likely, it will be up after SmackDown Live.
Yeah. So Jinder, I don't know how I feel about Jinder going to Raw, because I feel sorry for him because it's not his fault.
I think one thing we definitely need to keep in context is Jinder still has his rematch at the Greatest Royal Rumble event for the United States title.
Yeah, well, true, but then why would you have him go over? Because I don't know how well he's received, if he is at all, in Saudi Arabia.
I don't know. It's WWE logic, or lack thereof.
True, but it's like, are we punishing the druggie in Saudi Arabia because reason? I don't even know. But I don't know how I feel about that. Jeff having the title means, at least for the time being, we're not getting bloody Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton again, which was probably one of the worst bloody feuds of last year in WWE.
Point taken on that one. Up next, it was the former best friends taking on each other, as it was the Boss, Sasha Banks, taking on the huggable former Raw Women's Champion, Bayley. The two former best friends would hammer at each other over and over, and it even broke down into a slugfest between them. But Banks would connect with the knees in the corner and apply the Banks statement, but before anything else could happen, like a reversal or a tap out, we would get our next surprise in the form of the Riott Squad, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan, and they went on the attack, destroying both Banks and Bayley, in which resulted in the match ending in a no contest. Personal opinion, now actually with the Riott Squad on Raw, what does this mean for Absolution? Because they're no longer the quote heel faction in the women's division on Monday Night Raw.
WWE does not need female factions. We saw that with bloody Paige's we saw that when they had the 3-team faction previously. When we had Team
PCB,
Charlotte, Team Sasha,
Team Boss, I think they were called, weren't they?
Yeah, I can't even remember.
Yeah,
all I remember
it was Sasha Banks. It was Sasha Banks, Naomi, and Tamina.
Was it them?
Yes.
I thought it was Cameron. Triggered.
Cameron was on NXT on her way out at that time.
And then the Team Bella thing, it just didn't work at all. So why they think it's going to work again, I don't know. The one thing I will say, I'd say the three of them are much more accomplished female wrestlers than Mandy and Sonya are right now, in all honesty. So if it means we're actually going to get better quality women's wrestling overall, I'm all for it. But the fact that this feud must continue, except it never will, because, stupidity.
Up next, it was a rematch from last week, as it was Heath, Slater, and Rhyno taking on the Authors of Pain, who, if you remember from last week, dumped their former manager Paul Ellering and completely squashed Rhyno and Slater. This week, however, not so much, as Rhyno and Slater went in on the attack before the bell to get the advantage over the AOP, and even after the bell, Slater and Rhyno brought it to the AOP, but the question is, was it enough for the first ever SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions to topple Raw?
No!
Yep. Before I could even finish the question, the answer is sadly no, as the AOP would hit the last chapter on Rhyno to pick up the win. Personal opinion, Ash, I kind of figured AOP were going over, but like I said on the live reaction stream last night, at least it wasn't a complete squash this time.
Yeah, but filler. That's what this was.
Yeah, that's basically all it boils down to.
Was it Rhyno that ate the pin?
Yes.
That's why that's in my notes. That's good. It's not him going over. It was with other people, but you know.
Well, up next, it was time for The Miz and MizTV, as he promised that his guests were monumental signings to Raw in the form of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, if you remember last week, Owens and Zayn had a match that resulted in a no contest that was supposed to be for a spot on Raw. Kurt Angle would come out to remind everyone of that fact. However, Zayn would produce a letter from Commissioner Stephanie McMahon overruling Angle's decision and awarding contracts to both Owens and Zayn. After making a rip on Stephanie about Ronda Rousey ripping her arm out, he welcomed Owens and Zayn to Raw and would inform Miz and Miz alone would be heading to SmackDown, and the Miztourage would be staying on Raw, and that they would be involved in a 10-man tag team match for the main event. Personal opinion, Ash, does this mean we're finally going to get the match you've been waiting to see for 2 or 3 years almost with Daniel Bryan and The Miz?
Well, we'll see. I don't know how quick we're going to get it.
Because if I do believe in the promo, Kurt Angle said that this move was at the behest of Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, per request sort of thing. But even outside the storyline, this one move meant that SmackDown wins this draft. Because Miz is money right now.
Oh, yes.
Regardless. If this means Miz somewhere down the line gets into Money in the Bank / world title picture, good.
Yep. I have to agree 100%. He's a great...
Despite the fact, of course, that Kevin and Sami did go in the opposite direction, which in theory doesn't make sense because they weren't even on SmackDown because they didn't have jobs. And, you know, why would Stephanie give a damn about, you know, the two people that tried to murder her father and her brother?
Maybe it could be a way for her to get revenge on them by forcing them to do in-face matches with people that are like a Braun Strowman or Bobby Lashley and stuff like that.
Why would she do that? She's heel.
Yeah, but I believe she also said, if you remember back to when Kevin Owens first attacked Vince McMahon, if you remember the reaction that Stephanie McMahon had when she came down out there, she was absolutely furious with Kevin Owens, and even at that point she was supposed to be heel, but apparently something about, you know, she can go after her own family but nobody else can. I believe that's the sense where they were going for at that point.
I think she only gives a shit about Ronda Rousey in storyline now, and probably in real life because she wants to get herself over.
Yep.
Lol.
Well, anyway, up next it was the finals of the Tag Team Eliminator, with the winners going on to face The Bar at the Greatest Royal Rumble event for the vacated Raw Tag Team Championship, as it was the Revival taking on Woken, Matt Hardy, and Bray Wyatt. First off, their combo entrance was indeed quite strange to start, and the duration of the match was in favor of Wyatt and Hardy, even though the Revival did have their moments, but they were few and far between, to say the least. Wyatt would take out Scott Dawson with Sister Abigail, but I don't even know if you could call it Sister Abigail anymore because of the fact that he was supposed to be, quote, freed from Sister Abigail's influence thanks to the Lake of Reincarnation. But anyway, I'm just nitpicking here. But the finish of the match would be Wyatt and Hardy hitting a double team version of the Twist of Fate on Dash Wilder to pick up the win, as it would now be The Bar taking on Woken, Matt Hardy, and Bray Wyatt for the Raw Tag Team titles. I can talk. Personal opinion, Ash, I gotta wonder, how mad would Rick of Hardcore Wrestling Radio get if they put the tag titles on Wyatt and Hardy at the Royal Rumble event?
I don't know, you'd have to ask him. Personally, considering how stale this bloody division is, and bloody Bar saying themselves, we've beaten everybody, what's the point? Something has to happen. You know, and if Sheamus is going to be retiring soon because of his injuries and everything, They need to get the belts off them. We need a fresh set of matches that are showing up on here. We're gonna get it probably. Well, I was gonna say can get it probably, but in the fact that the only designated tag team properly that we saw throughout the entire draft, if you did want to count Kevin, if you don't count Kevin and Sami, was the Ascension. Nothing changed.
Yeah, in a sense, yes, because of the fact that I believe that...
Which makes me think... Whew, voice crack. Quite a lot of teams are going over to SmackDown, which again is weird because there's too many teams on the... Oh no, I guess Breezango. I forgot that.
Yeah. But...
Because they showed up next.
I will have a surprise for you, Ash. I will bring up something when we get to the overall score and thoughts that something that you might not have thought of that WWE could possibly do, and they might do. And I think a lot of fans would like to see them do, but you guys have to wait until the overall score and thoughts for me to tell you guys what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's get to the next match. It was the now christened War Goddess by WWE, Ember Moon, taking on Mickie James with Nia Jax, and it was supposed to be Alexa Bliss, both of them on commentary, but Bliss didn't show up, as she would reveal in a backstage promo that she would not go out there and continue to refer to Nia as a bully and wouldn't give her the satisfaction of rubbing her WrestleMania title victory in her face. I was pleasantly surprised at Moon's debut in the tag team match last week, and she looked just as good for her Raw singles match, as the finish of the match was indeed Moon connecting with the Eclipse on Mickie James to pick up the win. Personal opinion? Ash, I gotta wonder, because again, guys, keep in mind that by the time we're recording this, it is before SmackDown Live. It is, in fact, 3.5 hours before SmackDown Live. The question I'm wondering is, what are the chances of us seeing Alexa Bliss move to SmackDown Live?
Well, considering she's that scared of her, and considering how they do like to split up friendships, probably.
And again, guys, keep in mind that this is recorded before SmackDown Live tonight, so if you're going to come in the comments and saying, oh, you didn't watch... Well, we did watch
Context.
Yeah.
Context is, we are back in time. We are doing this in 1872.
The Superstar shakeup continued as the next person to jump ship to Raw was none other than the show-off Dolph Ziggler, who made mention of the more that the things change, the more they stay the same. Like, for instance, he would still steal the show as always, so he was still the same, but something was different. But before he could divulge that information, out would come Titus Worldwide, as Titus would lobby to get Dolph to join his organization. After declining his offer, Dolph would mention that he wasn't coming to Raw alone, and out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre blasts both Titus and Apollo, and they would continue the assault. And one spot I really liked was the Claymore zigzag double team move on Apollo. Personal opinion, Ashley, I like this Drew McIntyre. I like this version. This is very reminiscent of the Chosen One version of Drew McIntyre, not the three-man band version. This Drew McIntyre that we're seeing now, I personally believe, Ash, can go a long way in WWE.
Part of me surprised at the nature of the call-up with, like, no sort of real hype anyway. And the only people that would probably remember him would be people from a decade ago. So for the youngsters that don't even watch NXT, they'll just be like, who's this bearded bastard? The nature of the tag team and that the Claymore zigzag double team was really good. But again, when you sort of look at everybody that's shown up so far, bar Owens and Zayn, all I think of is mid-card. There's not really anybody here that I'm immediately going put them in the main event picture, apart from Miz, and oh look, he went the other way.
Definitely. Roman Reigns was out there next to a chorus of boos as usual.
The bear and the big dog is next.
As once again, wrestling fans Today's wrestling fans defy logic by booing faces and cheering heels. If a face...
No. Cage Side Seats made a very good point on this issue.
And that point would be?
Roman, before WrestleMania, was like... The idea was... I'm here every week. You fans boo me. Brock shows up when he wants and you cheer him. And because of the logic, because of the rumours of what was happening at UFC, they booed Brock at Mania, so, you know, that's why you had a dissatisfied crowd that were more interested in beach balls and whatever the hell in the main event. The problem is, because of the finish, which was Brock Lesnar beating turning him into basically Roman the Big Red Dog, to go with all the memes that have been going around on the internet. For the last 2 weeks, what's Roman done? He's come out and said, I'm still here. Brock isn't showing up and he's champion. When you do that execution,
sit down.
After what a severe beating like he took, it just makes him look like a crybaby. Like, I'm here, why haven't I got the belt? Bloody champ's just like, ooh, I'll show up when I feel like it, steel cage in Saudi Arabia. Just like, how are we gonna feel pity for you when, I mean, he literally cut the same promo this week as he did last week. It was no different. And then we spin it into what happened later with Samoa Joe coming out, basically saying, sort of the same as last week, sort of saying, you're a failure, you're a liar, you know, every time you're going to get Brock, you're going to get beaten down. And then what's Roman's reply? He's fat! To quote Scott Steiner. So yes, on the same show where we're supporting, you know, be whatever shape you want to be in Nia Jax, Samoa Joe's a fat bastard. Double standards much?
Not much else I could say when it comes to that, guys. Ashley pretty much just summed up everything for us on that one. Up next,
you know, and that's what I didn't see until basically realizing it today, because Rome my fear is Roman is going over in Saudi Arabia because they love him, which I guess then means that the match between Roman and Samoa Joe is going to be for the title at Backlash, and then Roman, I guess, will get his rematch somewhere.
You mean Brock?
Yeah, sorry. Brock will get his rematch somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Unless he does want to go off to UFC for a fight or whatever. So, I don't know. The honest thing as well, what's hurting this is there is no champion on the brand. If Roman was champion, people would still boo him because, you know, the way that the company's pushed him. But it'd be like, there'd be less to get worried over because it's like, well, at least there's something up for grabs. At the minute, this Roman Samoa Joe thing is once again another one of these feuds that never ends. Because how many times have they faced each other? Like 8-9 times, I think.
Pretty much.
And like it's 8-1 to Joe.
Yeah.
It's like, do we need to see it again?
I think he even beat Roman on his debut night. Well, not his debut night. Well, in-ring debut on Monday Night Raw, which I believe. I believe it was the year before he made his Raw debut. It's either last year or the year.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
I think it was 2 years ago because he attacked
Seth Rollins. Yeah,
no,
which set up the whole Kingslayer angle for him and Triple H and whatnot.
Yeah,
but
because Joe got injured. Lol.
Yep. So let's get off of that and get on to the next match, which was Mandy Rose taking on Natalya. Apparently, Absolution is still coming out to Paige's music, so I don't know how I feel about that. Now, even though Paige wasn't there, Sonya Deville and Rose were still resorting to the usual heel faction tactics by Deville taking cheap shots and providing distractions to help give her partner an advantage.
You're burying the lead there. We didn't mention why Natalya's there.
Well, that's going to come up in just a second. Yeah, I'm going to mention that in just a second. Because, again, Natalya is part of the Superstar Shakeup. If you guys didn't figure that out, this is what the whole morning review's been about. But anyway.
Nostradamus!
Yeah. However, despite all the tactics, it wouldn't be enough, as the finish of the match was Natalya locking on the sharpshooter on Rose to pick up the win. But before she could celebrate the victory, Deville would go on the attack as Absolution began to beat down before Ronda Rousey came out. Now, are you wondering why Ronda Rousey came out to make the save? Well, we'll tell you. Earlier in the night,
we need to do that the Wayne's World a few hours before.
There was a backstage promo, and it was revealed that Rousey was training with Natalya, so they became friends. So I guess that makes Natalya face now.
The real details about that as well. A few years ago, I wouldn't say there was a talent exchange, but a few of the women's wrestlers, including Natalya, went over to one of the MMA places, which I believe is where Ronda's from, and the other four horsewomen and whatever. And the idea was, if you teach some of these girls some submission style moves which can make the wrestling look interesting, the wrestling girls will teach you some sort of stuff back. Sort of circulating the idea of, if you want to show up when you're sick of UFC or Bellator or anything, feel free. So there's actual sort of a real friendship here, which of course will mean to SummerSlam Natalya versus Ronda Rousey because of reasons. But yeah, that's why they're sort of doing it, and that's why. And then Ronda's save. I mean, I feared that this was going to happen because they pushed all the time in NXT. Sonya Deville comes from an MMA background, despite having been, from what I can tell, in no big MMA fights of any kind in her career.
Yep, Sonya Deville stood off against Rousey and was quickly overwhelmed by the former Bantamweight champion. Personal opinion, so Natalya's face because of her association with Rousey. Ash, I gotta wonder, well, you kind of speculated about this a little bit, about where they're going to be going with this.
They're building up to the big matches for Ronda. And somebody as qualified and experienced as Natalya is a good choice.
Yeah, I agree.
In all honesty.
I agree. 100%.
To get the best out of her until we then get the one-on-one match with, Now,
if you want to boil it down to technique and execution, Natalya is a much better person to work with than Stephanie McMahon.
No, but that'll be the plan at WrestleMania 35, because we're in, McMahon's backyard of New York, even though it's New Jersey.
Yep. Well, up next it was Raw's newest tag team, Breezango, taking on The Bar. The match was set up during a backstage promo when Breezango made their debut and gave Sheamus and Cesaro tickets as the fashion police for their outfits they had on. So the former
and
their hair. So the former Raw tag team champions wanted revenge. So the match was made, and on paper you would think that this would be just another jobber match, and in a sense it almost became that. But every now and again, WWE will throw a swerve that no one would see coming, and I believe they did that with the finish of the match, as it was Tyler Breeze with a sunset flip pin on Cesaro to pick up the win for Breezango. Ash, I know on your script it said the exact opposite.
Well, at the same time, it also said that bloody... it said Rhyno for the Authors of Pain thing, so I think half the time it means that's the person getting pinned, and half the time it means that's the person that's winning, so I don't know. But yeah, it did what it had to do. Puts over Breezango, puts over how nobody wants to see the bar anymore. Pretty much. And stuff.
Yep. Well, let's get to the main event, the 10-man tag team match in Miz's last match on Raw before moving to SmackDown Live, as he would team up with...
And then going to Raw next year, and then SmackDown the year after because he's in limbo.
Yep.
Sad face.
As he would team up with the Miztourage, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn to take on Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor, the newly crowned Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins, and Raw's newest superstar, the former NXT Champion and former United States Champion, the glorious Bobby Roode. And as far as 10-man tag team matches go, it was a really good match. But the real story of the match and the focus would be on The Miz, as he would go for the hot tag with either members of the Miztourage, but after finding out that they were staying on Raw and Miz was going to SmackDown Live, they evidently saw no reason to stay aligned with the former Intercontinental Champion, as they both refused to tag in, which left Miz all by his lonesome with the Monster Among Men, as he finished off the A-lister with the running power slam to pick up the win for his team. Personal opinion, Ash, it's great to see Bobby Roode on Raw, and one has to wonder what will happen to Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel now that they are no longer aligned with Miz.
One, it frees him up for this tag team stable thing that I'm sort of talking about. But then at the same time, your biggest acquisitions were apparently Jinder Mahal and Bobby Roode, who are currently buried in the mid-card on SmackDown.
Yep.
I can't wait for it when, like, on SmackDown. And I'm not saying this has happened. This is true Nostradamus predictions. I haven't got a script here this time.
Yep.
If people like Seth or Balor, I mean, they're probably not because Miz has gone over. That wouldn't make sense. But, you know, if Roman went to SmackDown, if Ambrose went to SmackDown, you know, some of the sort of like top tier like guys that have been challenging for the title. If Joe went to SmackDown, let's say, who knows?
Well, and
where does that leave Raw? All of a sudden, SmackDown legit becomes the A show, and oh look, it's an hour shorter, so you're not bored.
It gives you something to think about, guys. It gives you something to think about.
And if you want to talk about superstar shakeup, there is a rumor going around that Corey Graves might not be doing dual commentary for Raw and SmackDown anymore. Reportedly, he's going to get replaced on one of the two brands by Beth Phoenix.
Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, that's... Shoot me now.
Would they have somebody so much better than Nigel McGuinness? They're going to go with Beth Phoenix.
No. If you're going to go with a woman, we already know there's somebody accomplished on that front.
Renee Young. So I don't know why WWE is doing that. But anyway, it's time for overall score and thoughts. Here's the official list of SmackDown people going to Raw. Jinder Mahal, Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan, Liv Morgan, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Zack Ryder, Fandango, Tyler Breeze, Natalya, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Connor and Victor of the Ascension, Bobby Roode, Mojo Rawley, Mike Kanellis, and Chad Gable. Take note of the last name, Chad Gable. That breaks up the Shelton Benjamin Chad Gable team, which again I know I can talk, which now leaves the possibility of WWE putting American Alpha back together. Think about that. The American Alpha team that everybody loves so much now on Monday Night Raw. It could happen. It could happen. Overall, I have to say it was a good show, as my overall score of Raw this week gets a 3.25 out of 5, with best match of the night going to the main event, with confusing moment of the night going to the backstage promo of Wyatt and Hardy. They get stranger and stranger with that each and every week. Ashley, over to you, your overall score and thoughts on Raw.
Even though I had the script, it did feel like sort of a 3.5. It was above average. Because you always get the sort of, I mean, even, you know, I was still getting surprises even though I had the script and everything, but some of the stuff I'm intrigued to see where it goes. Other stuff, it's like, why didn't you move them to the other brand? And of course, that could still happen because we've still got 2 hours of SmackDown to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens there. The most confusing thing is apparently bloody Bruce Pritchard's something else to wrestle is already going to be on the network come Wednesday. Apparently starting with WrestleMania 14.
Well, anyway, guys, that's been our thoughts on Monday Night Raw this week. We'll know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Monday Night Raw. What are your overall scores, and what are your thoughts on Monday Night Raw? What do you think about the current Superstar shakeup and the current SmackDown stars that are now on Monday Night Raw? Definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. If you guys like this video, be sure you slam that like button, like a champ, and don't forget you can hang out with us for your second screen experience for Raw and SmackDown and every pay-per-view from WWE right here on WGS-TV by going to twitch.tv/WrestleGamer for that. If you guys want to see more wrestling talk with awesome gameplays, you know the 2 ways you got to do it. You got to lay down the subscribe button and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications so that way you guys will never miss out on another video right here on my channel. So with that being said, for the Studley Man Ashley, I'm your friendly neighborhood WrestleGamer, reminding all of you guys out there to stay awesome. Bye, guys.
Nostradamus thing.